Online Radio, the home of the Cheryl Underwood Morning Show. We come to you every Monday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and we bring you real topics and real communities searching for real solutions. It's myself, Neeuq, my co-host Wesley, the project, and our intern, Miss Aisha, the next Wendy Williams.
Hey, y'all.
Come on, Wesley. What you
Good
been doing?
Good evening. I feel like I'm on like a love talk show.
Yes. What's up, Wesley? What's going on?
A lot of business going on. Sometimes you be focused on, a couple other things. A lot going on. School year is just starting off. First day of school tomorrow. I'm starting at a new school tomorrow. Last year I was at Leaf Walk. I was a PE educator at Leaf Walk Elementary Middle School. This year I will be at Mount Washington Middle School, and my organization has landed a contract at Fort Worthington Elementary. So just growth, get ready for tomorrow. Big things happening, and we also have a contract in DC, school called DC Scholars. So tomorrow's a big day for my organization. So just zoned in on that. That's all.
Oh, congratulations! All right, yes, that's excellent.
Appreciate it.
You sure? Aisha.
Yes.
You have anything you want to say to the people? Hi, y'all. We're talking about educational disparities in these schools that you're sending your children to. So on October the 20th, there is the 4th annual 50 Shades of Blue conference is focusing on domestic violence. So Lady Blue, in conjunction with WMSK Online Radio, is going to have this domestic violence awareness conference. The tickets can be found on Eventbrite. You'll have several speakers, some entertainment, some food. How fat girl Goody? It's going to be from 12 to 6 at the Furley Recreational Center, 4633 Furley Avenue in Baltimore. There is wheelchair accessibility, ample parking, and a playground for the children. Make sure you come out, you support that. Wesley and I are also doing the hygiene drive for middle schoolers in Baltimore. So if you have any items, you can hit one of us up and then we can come and pick it up. You can also donate to the cause at the Cash App. Wesley, what is it?
Cash App is money sign, the No Leader Project. So that's THENOLITA Project. So that's how you can reach us and send donations over.
Yeah, so we want to make sure when these children go back to school, they don't have to worry about simple, everyday, basic needs such as hygiene items. So make sure you hit us up, help us out, so that we can make sure all our children are smelling good and looking good so that they can do good. All right, so we're talking about educational disparities. We know that this is a serious topic, one that will be close to Wesley's little heart, because he is in the field of education. Hey, Renee, he just said that he was going to be at a new school. Whoop, whoop to him. His organization is doing some great big things. So happy for this guy. It's been a long time coming. All right, so who wants to start off with educational disparities? It's a very serious issue, especially in Baltimore City. If we have any educators who are tuned in, please give us a call, 570-763-WMSK. That's 570-763-9675. So these kids go to these schools. A lot of times the teachers that are assigned to these inner city schools are so far out of touch with these children. They cannot relate to the children. Wesley, something is wrong today, y'all. He's over there yawning. He had a real good weekend.
I just said I got a lot of work going on.
Oh, okay.
I had a bunch of classrooms to set up. I had a bunch of, things to do in the school building. I haven't really been asleep. And also I had, a bunch of schoolwork that's due. So I have three research papers that's due tomorrow. I've been working on that. Sometimes a man can be a little tired. I'm alright though. I'm still rocking and rolling. It's cool.
That's
I'm
right.
just a little tired. I'm still available, but I ain't gonna say I ain't tired. 'Cause I'm definitely a little tired, but I'm in the building. I'm here ready to roll.
You are. So what do you think about the assignments of these teachers who are not in touch with our children? Who cannot relate?
So that's why I feel like we need more people in our community to become qualified to teach or qualified to be lawyers or anything of a higher education so we can do these things in our community. So you can't, one hand, you can't fault others for coming in and doing the work that they do. Because if a person want to be a teacher as a profession, they get placed in certain places. Some people after a certain amount of years, you can pick and choose where you at. And once you start, you get picked and pulled to certain avenues. So it's like we need to uplift our people to a higher extent so they can qualify for those positions. So in my personal opinion, we might look at it like, well, these teachers don't connect with us. A lot of them don't. But who do we pick from? Because a lot of our people not going to school for higher education and higher learning. Yes, we have a percentage of African Americans that are going to college, and that's a good thing. But we don't have, as far as me being a man that's out here in the field, the higher up you go, the less, people of color you see. So when you go into these elementary, middle, and high schools, one, you don't see a lot of men. You see a large amount of women. Two, you daggone sure don't see a lot of black men being teachers. So that's another part of the problem. You can't say these people can't relate, but they can't. But at the same time, those are the people who are in the work field. So we need people that's going to be more relatable, that's going to care on a higher level, that's going to do certain things. Then we need to become more qualified. And I use that example for almost everything. If we want more, laws to be passed for us, we got to become qualified to get in positions to change laws. If we want more educators and principals and school staff to be relatable to us, we got to get in those positions to be able to do that. I look at the world as you can't just be complainers if you're not going to be a part of the solution. Right. So being a part of the solution is we need to get out there and get qualified.
Absolutely. So, Ms. Young is saying, keep pushing, Wesley.
Appreciate it, Ms. Young. Appreciate it. So, but that is a big problem. A lot of these kids are going to these schools and standing in front of them is a white man or a white woman that can't relate to the struggle that they're going through. That can't relate to the lifestyle that they live. That can't relate to what they're going through at home or the community they grew up in. What are we going to do about that is always my question. As people of color, what are we going to do about it? Instead of, complaining, because what, we going to say we don't want white teachers to teach our kids? If that's the case, then who going to teach them? Right. Because we don't have a lot of black men in these schools. Not at all. We don't have a lot of black educators. Do we have some in some concentrated areas? Yes. Yeah. Sometimes we might think it's a lot. Because if you're in a concentrated area, you might overlook the vast majority of things. If you look at the greater scale of the United States, there's not a lot of black lawyers. There's not a lot of black judges. There's not a lot of black principals and administrators. But if you're in a concentrated area where there's black people, like if you look at places like Baltimore and DC, you will get confused and think like, oh, it's black people in certain positions. Right. But if you look at the grand scheme of things, no, it's not. It's not a lot of us. And we have to work on that. Like, yeah, the system is set up against us. But I look at it as we can't keep saying the system is set up against us if we're not going to stand up and fight against the system.
Very true. Very true. And I do appreciate that. I was going for my Master's of Art in Teaching. And one of the things, just like what children have to deal with is they have a standardized test that all teachers must take, which is the praxis.
Right.
And we all know that there's a such thing as test anxiety and things like that. So what I did was I was trying to get out of school, try to finish. So what I did was my specialty was special education. So at Coppin, their teaching program is kind of like going in the wrong direction. So it's like going downhill.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if they'll still have special education, but they had like only a few teachers to do the special education.
Right.
So in order to keep the classes running, we all had to pile up in the classes that they were offering.
I want to do that.
Yeah, so therefore, we were all taking those special education classes. We didn't know where the program was going and anything like that. So, and then they had issues with the accreditation and all this other nonsense.
Let me chime in. So I wanted to get my master's from the HBCU, and that's what my goal was. But all the problems that you are discussing right now is what stopped me from being able to go there. When I first started getting my master's in education, I went to Coppin State University because I was set on going to an HBCU because I didn't get my undergrad from HBCU, so I had to get one of my degrees from HBCU. It was the goal of mine. But when I went to Coppin, just like she stated, I couldn't take classes during this time. They had no classes on this day. They had no classes for you this time. So I work, I'm in the community, I need classes. I need to be able to go to school. But when I went to Coppin, they only had 1 or 2 classes that you could take at a certain time. And it was like, during this semester, you can't. So how they program set up, if you're trying to graduate in 2 years, you're not going to graduate in 2 years. You're going to be there 3 and 4 years.
5 years.
And I can't do that for me because I'm not the individual that want to take 5 years working on a master's program. I want to do my 2 years and get up out of there. And it was unfortunate. I went and sit down and I talked to the dean. I went and talked to the school head. I went and talked to the individuals that ran the education program. And I sat down and I told them how unhappy I was and what my importance was to stay at an HBCU. But they said the same thing. Well, we don't have enough students to be in the program. We can't pay the staff to do this. We can't do that. And the unfortunate part about it is a problem like that drives a lot of students to white schools. Because me, as being a person that understands how the system works, it still drove me to have to enroll into a white school. Even though my mind was set up, even though my mind said I wanted to go to an HBCU to get my graduate degree, I still ended up at a white school because the white school, you can take classes all year around. You go to school summer, winter, fall, spring, in the heat, in the rain, in the cold, you can go there. At the HBCU, you almost got to pick and choose when you can get classes, and I couldn't deal with that. And it was very unfortunate because I really had my mind and heart set. I'm getting my graduate degree from HBCU. But that's not going to be the case. I'm going to end up graduating from a white school, and that's not what I wanted to do. But I don't run the school. I don't run that curriculum program. I don't run how their classes are. Just to graduate from the HBCU, I'm not about to be in no program for 5 years and I could graduate in 2.
Right. So what I did was I said, okay, so this is not going to work out for me. It's not looking good. I'm probably not going to be a teacher. So I switched my major to Human Services Administration. My special education classes still counted towards that degree because it was like your focus or whatever it was that you were going to do. So I went with the Human Services Administration program just so I can get out in 2 years because it was really nothing else. And I didn't want to waste any of the credits that I did have the opportunity to work towards. So I got that degree and, I got out of there.
What school did you go to?
Coppin. I stayed at Coppin, but that particular program is a collaborative program with University of Baltimore.
So I tried that alternate way as well. But because when I started my master's program, when you're doing education across the board, it's these reading courses that you need. So I started my program taking reading courses. No other program there needed those reading courses. So I couldn't use those reading courses to switch my program. And I was sitting there in front of them like, yo, y'all really not helping me right now. Like, I'm trying to figure something out to stay here, and it's like, it's not looking good. So I tried that alternate route. Didn't look good. I'm glad it worked out for you, and you got out of that.
Amen. Because I was definitely not going to, my thing's not working. I was definitely not going to let them hold me behind. So Eric is saying we set up against us. Anybody want to chime in on that?
We are set up against us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would like for him to go in depth, but I understand what he's saying. We are set up against us. A lot of our people like to say, the white man this, the white man that, which is true. The history of America has been set up against black people. The history of America has been set up for us to lose. White Americans have set so many things in place to stop us and to halt our achievement and our goals. But at the same time, we are set up against us because we are like our number one enemies right now. We are our number one killers. We are our number one haters. We are our number one robbers and things like that. We are set up against us. So it's like in a lot of places when you're trying to support your own is also hindering you. And it's like, how do we get out of that? And I look at it as we got to come together on a grand scheme of things and kind of revamp a lot of stuff. So, like now, school is not that important that it should be in the black community.
What do you mean revamp?
We need to revamp, like we need to restructure a lot of the systems. Like a lot of the systems.
We had the ability to do that?
That's what I'm saying. You can't change things unless you put yourself in a position to change that.
Okay.
So something that we do in our community of people of color is we say, oh no, I'm not voting because the SHIT ain't gonna work for me. You can't have that mentality if you're not gonna get out and do nothing. If you're never gonna cast your vote, if you're never gonna make your voice heard, if you're never gonna try, then your complaint is nothing. Your complaint is an invalid 0 cent. So we can't just keep on complaining if we don't have enough black people getting into politics. Because to be able to change laws and rules and regulations, you got to be in those positions to change those things. So to put our people in power, we need to stand behind our people. So we can't just keep standing back and saying, oh, I ain't doing this, I ain't doing that. Is it hard for us? Yeah, because it's set up for us to be hard. But it's also hard for us because we don't support us. Point blank, period. If people want to admit and be honest to what's going on, black people don't support black people the way that they should. Just like I like to use the topic Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick took a kneel for black people and minorities in America. No other player should be out there not standing with him because he's fighting for us. Other players are out there throwing touchdowns and catching passes and doing everything. Black people still tell me, I'm watching it. I haven't watched one football game since that happened. Black people still like, oh no, Dallas Cowboys. Even what Jones, what he said about our people, even what Trump is saying, we still like, oh no, that's the problem. We don't stand up and protect and support our own people. It should be no reason why Colin Kaepernick got blackballed from the NFL and black people are still supporting the league the way we support it. Those black players we have enough millions of dollars collectively to the point where if we had the right mind frame, we could start our own football leagues. We can start our own basketball leagues. We can start our own music corporations. We can build our own schools. The problem is our people not focused on the right things. We take our money and we spend it on everything wrong. And when you speak about it, or we looking at each other talking about, oh, Westy hating or he judgmental. We just know. What I'm trying to say is instead of spending every little dollar you get on all this name brand stuff by these people who don't want you to wear it, we can build and start our own. That's why Massa can take all his dollars. That's why he can take all his endorsements from you. Because we don't own nothing really. We don't own nothing. We don't own our own schools. We don't own our own law firms. We don't own our own markets. We don't own our own nothing really. So,
okay, so this is one question, but before I comment to that, so Wanda is saying it's the parents. They don't show up, and if they don't care, why should the people in control? In the perfect world, they would still care, but it's a business to them.
They don't. That's right. That all goes back into us supporting us. She's right. I'm gonna tell you something. In the white communities, when it's a back to school night, in the white communities, when it's a report card night, it's almost like a event for them. They walk into the schools where they dogs. They got the little baby on their shoulder. They got a lot going on.
All right, let's see if we can hear this phone call. You hit the right button. Tell me to call back. I'm sorry.
The caller who just called, call back.
Go ahead, Wesley.
And in our community, it's always excuses and we not there. On back to school night in the black community, it's a small amount of people who come.
Let's see if we can hear it. wmskonlineradio.
Yeah, turn it up.
Hello? It's really low. Hello? Hello? She hung up. Yeah. I don't know what's wrong with that. Okay, go ahead.
So, just as she stated, other people can't care more than we care.
Right.
Other people can't care more than we care. Factual. When I'm out here at certain events, you know what hurts me the most? Is when I go to an event that's supposed to be for black people and black children. How is it more white people in the building than it is blacks?
Right.
And they supposed to be standing for something that's going to change and affect us. That's what hurts me. Like, we come together when it's time to rah-rah and make noise, but how long do we stay together? Not long.
No.
We stay around when it's popular or when it's good to be seen or heard or such and such was at this meeting. It ain't no just every now and then type fight. Right. The fight that we fighting is every day. Do we not know these people are making plans 10, 15, 20, and 50 years long? They're not making plans for just the day and tomorrow. Their plans are 50 years out.
All right, we have a caller. Hello? Hey, Shay, babe. Yes, baby, you are. Hey, Shay, talk to us.
Okay, so what are you guys talking about?
We're talking about educational disparities. And we were making the point that a lot of times these teachers are in these schools and can't relate to our children. And Wesley is saying that, the onus is on us as a community because a lot of us need to be more involved, get educated and things like that. That's what we're talking about.
Okay. So did I hear you say something about how a lot of teachers are prepared to teach our children in the urban setting?
Yes.
Well, I feel like if you are going to be a teacher that's teaching in the urban setting and you're not familiar with the culture, you need to get familiar with the culture because kids relate better and will respect you more if you're able to relate to them. Unfortunately, we can't discriminate against people that want to teach in the urban areas because one of the reasons why they do, I'm just Caucasian teachers, because in the urban areas you get paid more. I think that's why we do get a lot of teachers that are African American teaching with our students. But they do need to learn to be more relatable to our students.
So is it their responsibility? The onus is on who?
It's the teacher's responsibility.
But that's provided that they're interested in that. If they don't have an interest in your children, why would they even care or attempt to relate to them or learn anything about the culture? Because they're taking their culture out of what they're teaching the children. So these young teachers, where do they get the education to become culturally sensitive to the kids?
I hear what you're saying, but I will think you're saying it that way. Probably we do, as a community, need to offer, I guess, some type of support for those teachers that are coming in that aren't familiar with, the culture and working with our type of students. So,
which takes us
right,
but which takes us right back to Wesley's point, and he's saying that when it comes to back to school night, you don't even see the parents.
No, and that's a big frustration. We have at my school, we have about 400 plus kids, and literally about maybe 30 to 50 parents come to back to school night.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because it's not as important. And also, also, another thing that bothers me is anything that we do at my school, to talk about my school, I'm not going to say the name of it, but anything we do at my school that's academic, we get like 10 or 15 parents. But if we have something like a dance or something like of that nature, then we get all these parents. If we had a father-daughter dance and a mom dance, a son dance, all these parents came. But then when it was time to learn about how to teach the kids, teach the parents to do math so they can help the students at home, nobody showed up.
So what she's saying right now is something that I talk about all the time. We can't only jump and praise when it's time to have fun. Like, if it's time to do some fun stuff, we want to get it popping. But when it's time to grind and do the things that we need to do for our people to move ahead and be successful and be great, we lack the days with that. And you can't keep on blaming that on somebody else. Like, you can't keep on saying, oh, the white people did this and did that. Did they do us wrong? Yes, they did. But at the same time, we have black people that fought for us to be able to go to school. Just like right now, I'm doing a research paper on the freedom schools. The freedom schools were black individuals that stood up and fought, and they fought for one freedom, and then they fought for us to get political gains. They fought for us to get educational gains. They fought for us to get rights. At one point in time, during the civil rights movement, before we weren't even allowed to read, write, or count, and all that stuff and go to schools, we had individuals that fought for us to be educated. Nowadays, our people treat education like it's nothing. And if you don't have the proper education, what can somebody offer you?
Well, this is the problem now that I feel like with education. I feel like we've gotten away from education.
Yeah.
Like the school has gotten away from education, and now it's more like a hub of like, we do everything for everybody for free. Like we have a food bank. Like we have, you get a free, nobody has to look for lunch anymore, pay for lunch anymore. You get free lunch, free breakfast. Everything's free. We have a clothing line. We're just getting away from like the academics, and it's more of like a, what do you call it?
A social welfare program.
Yes, exactly. And also, I don't think people understand the importance of education anymore. Like we always want to push kids and talk about preparing our kids for college and career. But when I think about it, it's just like, how are kids supposed to be really thinking about preparing for college and career when they see their parents that might not even work at a pie factory, but they have all these amenities? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
you still got everything that I have, and I have a college education, and you don't have shit. You know what I mean? Like, how is this? How are kids supposed to think about getting a job when they think they can get stuff without even working?
She right.
That's very true.
I talk about that all the time. You know I do. I talk about that all the time. And even the sense of, you know, a lot of our kids are great in athletics. Mm-hmm. But even though you're great in athletics, you can't even get into the top colleges because your kids can't read, write, or count on their grade level. So as much as we want our sons to play football and basketball and baseball, they can't go to the top schools because they can't compete on a high level, because these top colleges, if you don't have a certain test score, if you don't have certain grades, if you don't have a certain academic level of understanding, you can't get into the D1 schools. So it's like, even when we, you know, I discussed it before, when we discuss in Baltimore falls on a level D academically. It's either a D or D plus academically. But we fall on a level B plus athletically. But we wonder why our kids aren't going to the top schools from Baltimore. The proof is right in front of you. These kids can barely read, write, or count on their grade level. And it's like, yeah, you know, you can get frustrated with the schools, but the parents need to take some ownership in that as well. Because if the parents is not sitting down, helping your child, your son or daughter read and write better, or if you're not helping yourself read or write better, you can't keep on blaming everything else on the system. Because I was a child that was 4 grade levels behind that couldn't read. At some point in my life, I said, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be like this. And it took for me to sit down, as frustrated as I was, it took for me to sit down to continue to read. It took for me to sit down to turn the TV shows off and the game systems and stuff like that, and sit down to get in these books.
Because at a certain age, like I tell my kids, like I teach grade 3 through 5, and at a certain age, it doesn't matter what I say, your parents say, whatever say, you have to have what we call self-efficacy and intrinsic motivation to want to do it for yourself. And a lot of kids, they don't want to do, they don't.
A lot of kids are lazy.
We're lazy as all get out. It's not capable of doing much more than what these test scores and stuff show. They are.
So,
And Baltimore City, believe it or not, Baltimore City has some of the hardest working teachers. I'm telling you.
I know. No, they do. They do. I'll vouch for that. They do. They do.
So I have I guess a statement that goes back to what you said about a lot of the things being given for free. Unfortunately, in Baltimore City, you're going to have those children who can't, if they don't have school, they can't get those meals. They can't get things out of the clothing
That's
closet. So you have to meet their basic needs because you can't expect them to sit in that classroom and be hungry
No, that's true.
and do what they have to do.
I totally agree, but my whole thing is be thankful for it. The thing is, when you keep getting stuff for free and you don't work for it, it's just given to you, that's what you expect all the time out of everything. That you just, like, you don't have to work hard for anything.
So, I mean,
I can't see. I'm 50-50 with that. I kind of agree with that. The reason why I agree with that is because so many of us, I'm telling you, it's a systematic track that we in. But once your mind is settled into accepting living on Section 8 for your entire life, listen, these families be on, and I'm a black man that my mother and family was on Section 8. We was on food stamps. But if you get accustomed to living on Section 8 forever, if you get accustomed to living on food stamps and social service forever, you don't have that real drive to get off it and do better. So somewhere along the line, we need to have these meetings or understanding in our community to understand that that is how they are keeping us down and oppressed. Keeping you on Section 8 for 20 years is a part of keeping you oppressed.
Grandma, great-grandma,
so
everybody
talked about
that.
But we're talking about because the children who are going to school have nothing to do with that, right? They can't control that their mother is taking advantage of the system. When we're talking about these little children, once they do get old enough where they can work and they can build that work ethic and stuff like that, as far as what they're going to do once they, exit high school. So, I agree. For ninth graders, they should be working towards, whatever goals they have.
The parents are supposed to be the models. You don't want to be modeling to your kids. You don't have to work. You don't have to work hard to take.
Look, if
I
understand
what you're saying.
And they will tell you, they learn, like we passing along ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
We passing along this stuff. And it's like, until we have some type of class or program or really pushing this stuff, people, if you go talk to these kids and ask a lot on what they want to do or be when they grow up, they don't have no high aspirations of no high levels of success. Right. They already thinking about how they gonna fill out for food stamps or Section 8 in high school. I'm telling you.
And I'm gonna tell you
right. So
my son, now his auntie, she was buying hella food. He was like, "Mommy, auntie's rich. She got hella food. Why we don't have food like that? God damn it, I work. And I can't buy $500 worth of food. That's why."
Another thing that pisses me off, we were just talking about this today. You get $500 worth of food stamps. This is what I don't understand. And I don't like when people come up to me to try to sell them. Now, some people will buy them. I won't buy that because that's supposed to be something you're using for your family.
Yeah,
that my tax dollars are paying. You sit up here selling the stuff.
That's big. That's big. That's big. People always at the market selling. Yeah, that's big. That's been going on for a long time. Like
they do that with the break
that's
checks
big.
too.
Yeah, that's big. Like
that is a terrible shame.
You can meet people. Yeah, you can meet people at the market all the time and get them $50 for 100 or 100 for 200 and stuff like that all the time. That's big.
I'm doing the wrong thing then. But I heard of someone selling WIC checks for the first time.
They've been doing it for years. They've been doing it for years.
That is ridiculous.
They've been doing it for years.
It's pitiful. It's despicable and disgusting.
And then they don't just get what's on the WIC check. They get other stuff. Because in New York, oh baby, there's a lot of stuff going on up there. And people are getting away with it.
But then you gotta think, you kind of understand why people don't get a job because they really more not working.
Okay, yes, I do agree with that. And we talked about this a little bit on one of the other shows when we were talking about Ben Carson changing the housing rules. or for Section 8. We talked about this a little bit. And I definitely agree that allowing them to stay on these social services, I don't know what's wrong with that. Allowing people to stay on these social services for years upon years without requiring them to do anything is definitely an injustice to those people who sit on it and abuse the services. Because then you never have to reach for any aspirations.
That's
You
my
don't
point.
have any.
That right there is always my point. I'm not saying some people don't need it.
Right.
I'm not saying some people don't need help or assistance or a stepping stone.
Right.
Because Black people in America have been put through a lot. But it's also a part of handicapping us.
Yes.
Because if you can't, to stay on food stamps or to stay on Section 8, you can only make but so much if you get a job. Once they cap you off at a certain amount of greatness, that's capping your limit of greatness. Because if you saying, oh, I can't go get this job over here because they don't take my food stamps or my Section 8 voucher, now you're not reaching for higher levels of goals in your career, in your life, your school, nothing. You're just content with, oh, I can live in this good community, because almost every, unless you got a community that's on all homeowners.
Right.
Almost every community, even high-end community, accept Section 8 vouchers. So somebody who don't even work a job can take their Section 8 voucher and go live in somewhere where you working your tail off to pay $2,000 a month for wherever you living at. Somebody can bring their Section 8 voucher and pay $2,000 a month, and they got the $500, $600, $700, $800 food stamps, and they chilling or whatever, and you busting your tail for yours. Yeah,
absolutely.
And they can't even pay that shade there. They can't even pay that.
Or they don't want to pay it.
Right.
So I definitely agree that when it comes to these social services, people should not be allowed to live on these things year after year after year after year. You have to cut them off somewhere. And I don't know, but it's called temporary assistance for needy families for a reason.
Right.
However, there are so many loopholes that people do get an opportunity to stay on for a lot longer than a program has intended for them to be on.
Man, people be on for 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 years. People be on till they die. And then you can pass it on to your daughter.
Right.
For Section 8, yes. But Ben Carson is trying to change that. He's trying to give you a 3-year limit. And we talked about this before. So bring it on, because we do have to, don't just throw them out there, without a net or a lifeline.
Prepare for it.
Yes.
Have some programs for them.
Absolutely. Give them something that they can work towards.
Right.
They do have a program, I think the MBQ program, I think they allow you
can work.
Stay on so long and then you can buy the house and they give you these special
stuff like that. I like.
Deals and stuff
I
like
just
that.
heard about that not too long ago.
Yeah, so that'll be an excellent program if people actually took advantage of it. But I do agree that without forcing people to go out here and work towards something, you do enable them. It's not anything different from, if you let them stay in your house for the rest of their life. So, Ms. Young is saying, I know people who have been on it forever, shaking my head, no intentions on getting off the program. And that's ridiculous. It's sad because then that's when...
I don't think there's anything wrong with the program. I just think there needs to be a cutoff.
Right, and that's basically what she's saying. She's saying they have no intentions of getting off the program. So,
Because this is when we go back to school. Because if you did get off the program, you're going to need a job that's going to be able to sustain you and, decent lifestyle. But then if you don't have any credentials, you're not
That's my
going to
point.
get a good job.
That's my point right there.
But listen,
Always.
I worked for years in the GED program as a teacher. I do not have a contract right now because we cannot keep enough adults in the program to keep moving forward. They try to revamp these programs. They even put in a health care or something type of program. So you go through these classes and then you can take these CNA, GNA or health classes or whatever as you go along, but you still cannot keep enough people in these programs to keep us as teachers employed. So, that is a serious problem. But when we're talking about these young children, it is unfortunate that this is the parents' that they are going to. So taking,
Can we hit on something real quick about the children and then being successful in school? First of all, you can't really be successful if you ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
yes,
If you don't have those basic needs, how in the world can you reach to the top of the tier of self-actualization? Our kids, unfortunately, don't even meet the bottom part, like psychological needs, food, water, warmth, and rest. Our babies are hungry, they're tired, they're not getting rest, they don't feel safe.
that's the point that I'm making. That's my very point. So
That's the
if
point that she's making.
So if, as the school system, as concerned community members, if we are not trying to contribute to meet those needs, we can't just take that away from the kids. They need these social services in order to be successful.
No, that's true.
Sometimes school is the only opportunity to get their needs met, to have the structure, to have the discipline.
What'd you say?
The school system cannot do it all by themselves.
They can. They
Right,
can.
and I'm not in disagreement with that. I'm not in disagreement. No, the teacher should not have to do everything. The principal should not have to do everything.
They
However,
can. They don't even really have the money and the budget to do everything.
now,
They don't.
I don't agree.
Everyday school. See, they like seriously, they don't. People think like the school. It's not the school that has the problem. It's the money is coming from the state. The school don't have like unlimited cash, so that's why the schools aren't able to do a lot of the things that, even if you have a principal that has an awesome warm heart, if that principal is probably not doing community fundraisers or something like that, that principal don't have like a big bucket of cash, whereas those they can supply every single thing that they want to do. A lot of schools can't even keep their whole staff. Right now, I'm in meetings. I'm in real life meetings with educators and principals that are like in tears because they can't keep actual teachers that was there for 5 years. They let people go because the school don't have enough money to even keep the staff. So that ain't on the school. That's how the state is doing things.
So who is responsible?
And your money is based on your enrollment.
Yeah.
So it's just like the money you get is based on the number of kids you get. And sometimes you're right. You don't have enough kids, so you don't get a lot of money. And people don't understand that. It's hard.
There's a lot that go into it. Attendance plays a part. If your kids are not showing up, that plays like people don't understand. Some schools and some districts, you get money by the performance of your children. So if your kids are performing in the higher levels, those schools get more money. If you have
When you have kids, usually people, let me just tell you how it's set up now. When you get your class, you might have 30 students. Half of them are two or more grade levels below.
Mm-hmm.
And then you want my paycheck to be attached. It just doesn't make any sense. And you want some kids, they don't even, when they get a test that's really important, they don't really care about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, whatever. I'm not going to put anything. I don't care. But then it makes it look like we're not teaching anything.
I know. So my whole thing as far as the needs, I don't think that taking those things away from the children will be a resolution.
Oh, no.
So no, I don't think anybody wants to take anything from the kids.
Yeah, so I do think that's definitely a social responsibility from not just the schools, but from the communities, especially their parents. But we all know the conditions of a lot of these neighborhoods and what these parents are or are not doing. We also know that a lot of times when principals do have money within their budgets, we know that a lot of them misappropriate the money. We know that the level above them is misappropriating money.
Mm-hmm.
That's why your schools are so poor. The whole casino thing was a bust.
Oh yeah.
No. So what people know, what people won't understand, and that's what I'm saying. You gotta get more educated when you voting and doing things. What people don't understand was the casino money wasn't plus; it was to replace. So the money that the schools were getting in the beginning, it didn't add on to the casino money. They just replaced it. So now, no, we are getting the money from the casino money, but we're not getting the money from the casino money as an addition. We're getting it as a replacement. So the money that we was
So what
getting,
happened to the original pool of money?
they use it for something else now. That's the problem. When we looking at these things and we voting and we going, people not paying attention to what we voting for. We looking at it thinking, oh, the casino money is an addition. No, it's not an addition. So when people go down there, when they at City Hall, and they fuss and saying, we ain't getting the casino money, those people can look at you in your face and honestly tell you, no, you are getting casino money. What they not telling you is, it was a replacement and not an addition. People don't know that.
Well, I mean, it's just very unfortunate. But as parents, we do have to do much better with being involved with what's happening at the school. As far as your children are concerned, because
a parent called Friday. A parent called up on school Friday after the child had passed minute grade. Hello. Are you serious? You're waiting until the week before school to ask if they got promoted, which you didn't even see the report. You just wanted this to go off.
No, she's right. Like the level of frustration that I understand she has, I be like sometimes with like films coming out of my head because it's like you and I know it's a part again. I always go back to it's a systematic problem, and we got caught up in it. Like we are devoured inside of this system that is breaking us. We are devoured in it, but we don't have enough of us that are fighting against it, and that's the problem. We are falling towards it, and we have laid down towards it. And my thing is, these kids will go home with C minuses and D report cards, straight up and down that report card. At the same time, the next time you see that little boy or little girl in school, as much as we fighting and fussing about materials and saying they don't have nothing, they find a way to get them the new Jordans and the new Kyries and the new Kobe's. We said they can't feed these kids, but some type of way, they find out how to come to school with a Louis belt, a Gucci belt, a Fendi belt, and all the name brand shoes. We need to fight and change the mentality in our community and start putting it on everybody else. Because if we're going to say we don't have enough material for these kids to come to school with proper hygiene and proper food and all that, why are you busting your tail to make sure you can get them a Gucci or Louis Vuitton belt? Who gives a damn? Like, seriously, that's how I feel. Like, who cares if your son or daughter got a Gucci or Louis Vuitton? Throw him or her in something regular and get it popping in other areas. And we got to fix that mentality in our community.
But so I don't work in a school. So every time you say this, I'm sitting here thinking like, who the hell is he talking about, right? So I might need to visit some of these schools that Wesley is talking about.
Let's be honest, schools, you can look on the bus stops. You can look on the bus stop. You see the young, it's a mentality that we got to adjust. And so people don't want to adjust. We have to, in my opinion, what we doing right now, we are passing around knowledge of which is wealth.
Right.
We need to have more pockets that people that are respected to get the proper education and wealth and knowledge and sit people down and bring them together. Regardless if we got feed food or play rap music before to get them there, we need to be able to sit down and say, look, this is not what's helping us. We need to revamp some things. We can't keep on living like this because you can see these kids standing on a corner and they got all this name brand items on standing on a corner, but they don't have no real structured home to go to. We going back to living in basements. We sleeping on floors. We sleeping on cots. But something about us, every dime and slug we get, we trying to make sure we got this name brand on. But you're going back to a corner.
Why are we like that as a people? Like we just, that's a whole other topic. That needs to be a topic of discussion for next week.
I agree.
I'm serious because we're so materialistic, but don't have no. And that's another thing. You want to be buying up all this shit. People think you got money, and you don't have shit.
Nothing.
Like what's your portfolio look like? What investments have you done? Are you teaching your kids how to save money, invest money? So you're not up here working at damn
don't think so. So, I don't think so.
And that's another thing. I can't stand when kids want to talk about what other kids got on. And I tell them it's not their fault. They don't have on the latest sneakers. They don't buy their clothes their parents do. And you shouldn't be worried about that anyway. You know what 8 times 9 is, so.
No, she right. Oh my gosh, I bang with her. She's so real because when I talk to my students, and I tell them all the time, like, yo, you don't have the right to be in here cracking or joking, or you shouldn't even do that. And I break it down to them and let them know everybody don't come from the same background. Everybody don't have the same as you. So because your mother or father can afford to get you Jordans, or maybe can afford to get you Jordans, but they got them anyway, that person's mother or father really can't afford to get them no Jordans or no Kyrie or no Dunkins or no Kobe's. They might could only afford the shoes that was at Walmart. So now you got that child feeling low and they self-esteem low and they sitting in the corner and they don't want to talk and they feeling uncomfortable and now they skipping school all because of some shoes?
So let me ask you.
Exactly. I'm telling you, those little details like that will shut a whole person's academic learning.
Man.
So let me ask you this. So as teachers, if you approach the principal of your school with some form of curriculum or a program that is teaching these things to change this mentality, because you won't have enough time to do it in your classroom. Do you think that'll be an acceptable?
Sometimes you gotta go against the grain. You gotta sometimes, because I teach, I'm a math teacher, so like I will go off sometimes and teach like financial literacy and stuff like that. Sometimes you gotta do what's best for your students. You can't always follow what's told to you for you to do. You're an educator. So you can't, if you really care, you're gonna buck against the system sometimes.
Go ahead, Shay Bay.
No, she's right. You can't just sit in there with all this going around in your classroom, in an urban classroom, and you just sitting there, you just on a chalkboard. It's impossible. It's impossible.
I'm a teacher, like I do home visits. Oh, I knock on people's doors. I sit in people's living room and have
She's dedicated. She don't get ready to go to school, so give up us.
That's
you
real.
You are very dedicated, Shay Bay.
And we appreciate, yes.
No, that's real. We need more individuals like that.
No, baby, it's not over. You still here. You still here.
No,
We
that's
have
real.
45 minutes.
We need people like that because being an educator, being a social worker, being somebody in public service, you have to care more than the average person. If you don't care more than the average person, you are in the wrong work field. You can't take a public service type job and don't have a big heart or mind of understanding that no, it's going to take a little bit more out of me than the average clockman in. Because if you don't have that level of understanding, then you are in the wrong field. Seriously, because you like so many people are broke, and if you say you signing up for a position to help individuals, you are in the wrong field. And that's what I know we're talking about education, but that's my problem with law enforcement at times. Because these individuals take these jobs, and law enforcement is actually supposed to be uplifting and serving the community. You're supposed to be doing things for the community. It's not supposed to be just punishment. Law enforcement is not supposed to be, even with correction. Correction is supposed to be rehabilitation, not just warehousing me, not just keeping me in here and letting me go through the worst conditions and be harsher. Like we so far off from what we're supposed to be doing. Everything is just about get the dollar. Get the dollar. I'm gonna get this job because they got good benefits, the schedule cool, and it paid good. Or I'm gonna get this job because it comes with these perks. No, you will actually get the job because you seen what the description of the job really means. And that's what we're going through. Because just like we saying white teachers in black neighborhoods, it's the same exact problem for white police in black neighborhoods. We don't have a lot of we don't have a lot of black men that want to be officers. We got more black men that want to be, and I get upset because I am from it. I'm from the grind. I'm from the dirt. I didn't want to always be that. You think I want to be 32 years old, still talking about I'm in the trenches, I'm muddy? No.
You muddy.
But for some reason, we take this mentality that we want to live it until we go in the grave. We got 45-year-old men out here, 50-year-old men out here hanging with kids. Talking about they in the trenches. Like, bro, at some point, we got to be like, yo, it's more to life than this. We got to be here for our sons, our daughters. We got to be here for our women. We got to be here for our elderly. And the problem, one of the main problems that I always address, and it goes into everything. It goes into the discipline of our community. It goes into the education of our community. It goes into the economics of our community. And everything that we can name, a lot of our men aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. Even black young boys that grow up in the county that have never lived in the hood before, they even want to be thugs. Bruh, you have never even lived in the hood before, and you're still portraying that you, because in America, being a black male, you're not considered black enough if you don't act gunner or tough or gangster. What the fuck is you talking about? You want a bullet in your head? You want to struggle? You want to be locked up? You want to be dead at an early age? Why is that glorified so much? And that's what my problem is with my own community.
That's a systematic agenda. That's definitely an agenda.
It is, but at the same time,
Kids are not scared of the police. My kids are not scared of the police. They don't care.
kids they don't respect, not even just the police, they don't respect authority.
Right.
These kids, man, these kids not open no doors for no old woman that's walking up the steps with a cane. They're not helping her with her bags. They're not asking no woman, do she need help? They're not giving no seats to a woman if she come into a barber shop or if she anywhere need help. These kids don't understand that.
No, they don't. So if there's something that could be taught.
Yeah.
It does. And I try to teach my boys that too. But the girls are just as bad too.
You right. And I was about to get on that.
Sometimes I gotta tell them, I go, look, you want to be running the yard one day? Do you? Because women get locked up too.
They do.
Because they're terrible. They gotta fight the boys like.
Man, come on, talk to him, Shay. Talk to him. Talk to him, because we only talk about what the boys do. If you go and work in any of these rec centers, you go into these rec centers, you go into the neighborhoods, you go into the schools, you go anywhere where there's a group of kids, the little girls acting just as tough or gangster or trail as the little boys. The little girls fighting each other more than the boys, actually. The boys just shooting, but the girls fighting more. They dragging each other down the street more.
All right, Tion, we're talking about the disparities in education today. So we were, we've been talking about this, the whole time we've been on, and we are really just getting into the behaviors and things like that of the children in the school. And we're looking at, or we're trying to discuss how we can work on the mentalities of these children. Is that even possible? The teachers don't have the opportunities to add it into their lesson. However, we have a caller who is saying you go against the grain and you teach your population what you think they can best learn from what's happening, what's going on. So we were talking about the differences between the boys and the girls. And Shay is saying that the girls are just as bad as the boys, unfortunately. So that's what we were talking about. The number is 570-763-9675. You can try to give it a call. It was a little low earlier. 570-763-9675. Go ahead, Wesley. I know. Get yourself together.
It just be a lot, because I'm never the one to say that the system wasn't set up against us. But I am always the one to say the system is set up against us, but at the same time, as people, we need to do better. We need to fight more. We need to help each other more. We need to uplift each other more. We need to support each other more. We can't keep on saying, the system is stopping us. The system is oppressing. It's the system.
Right.
But how do you fix the system if you don't get yourself in these positions? If you want to be somebody to help and be a change agent for anything, you have to be able to get yourself qualified to be in a position to become a change agent. Point blank, period. If you want to be a principal can be a very powerful change agent over his or her school. If you want to be a principal, get into that position. Start teaching. A teacher can be a powerful change agent, because a teacher who really cares, even if it takes a toll on them. If you get 2 to 5, you can't save all. Don't ever expect or try or overwhelm yourself to try to save the entire population, because you can't. Because whatever religion you have or don't have, even your savior couldn't save all.
Right.
So my point is, if you're a good educator, if you can mentor or take under your wing at least 2, 3, or 5 students to help lead them in the right direction, that's 2, 3, or 5 more students that you can help be upstanding citizens in this world, in this community, and then they can turn around and mentor and help uplift more, and then they can turn around. We got to start it as a wheel.
Right.
You can't look at the whole pot and be like, oh man, we messed up. You got to look at what you can do. And once you look at and observe the field and see what you can do and what type of changes you can bring, then you pick, or whoever, if they pick you or you pick them, take them under your wing, help them. Because I'm going to tell you, that's what happened for me. That's why I'm so passionate about it. You know, Shay, like that's what drives my passion. I tell them all the time, I come from 2 drug addict parents. I come from being homeless. I come from living in abandoned houses. But at the same time, I couldn't read, write, or count. I was 4 grade levels behind. It took for somebody to invest in me, show me that they love me, stood by me even when I got locked up, stood by me even when I was in the street, stood by me and told me I can be better, I need to stop this, I can change my life, gave me different books to read. They stood along with me to the point where though I really took a listen and I paid attention. I was like, yo, you know what? This is my choice. I don't gotta be out in this corner slinging dope and weed. I don't gotta have a whole team of dudes singing dope and weed for me. I can go to college and try more. I don't gotta be out here fighting and hustling all the time. I can try to enroll and this and that. Is it gonna be easy? No. And that's the problem. Everybody want the easy way out. Ain't nothing. Nobody that's great right now gonna tell you life is easy. No molding.
wmskonlineradio. Yeah, so we can't really hear. So we're gonna try to give an alternative number. I was trying to invite you on a live. Huh? Right. So we can't hear each other. So we're going to give you an alternative number to call on. All right.
Well, hopefully I'll be on next Monday. I'm getting ready to hang out, but it was nice discussing this with you all.
Thank you so much.
Love what you bought. Thank you. Appreciate you calling in.
Shay, babe, you want to?
And actually, you motivated me for tomorrow. You know, tomorrow was my birthday school.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good talk.
Let's get it.
Okay.
All right, Shay, babe.
All right, come on. We need an alternative number.
Come on, 646 322 8775. I might be looking at it like, who's that calling me? I don't know
All
that.
right, it's a 509 number. So Tion is saying, okay, the parents are kids themselves. So if these kids are saying mom fighting, twerking on Instagram and Facebook, beefing, remember, kids don't listen, they simulate your actions. That is so true, Tion. So we do have to be better examples to these children. So you were talking about the principals being a good person who can be that change agent. A lot of times these principals aren't invested in their schools and they're there collecting their $110,000 salary, $120,000 salaries, taking the money and not really investing in what has to be done. Okay, so we have another caller.
Hello.
Yeah, this is Tony.
Hey, Tony.
Hey.
Hi, Tony. It's been a while since we heard from you.
Yeah, I know. I see Wesley fired up.
Yes, always.
Yeah. I was willing to say one thing, man. I had that out, boy. I wasn't gonna call at first. I ain't gonna call, but when he said that, my savior ain't gonna save all, boy. I said, Wesley, don't pump your brakes.
What did he say, Tony?
No, go ahead.
What did he say?
Your savior ain't gonna save all.
He said even the savior couldn't save all. I said, hey, pump your brakes, stop. No, that's not even the case.
All right, let's speak on it then. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
So what do you believe? What's your religion?
It's not a religion. For one, I'm an Israelite. Israelite is not a religion. It's our heritage.
Okay.
It's not a religion.
Okay.
Religion is something that binds you into a how can I put it? They don't want to live by the, that's FBR. They don't want to live by the laws of God. They think the laws of God is trash or such thing as God or God don't exist. And, right? So let's see. Let's go this way. We did everything. We try to follow every law, try to make new laws, and it failed. But you know one thing that never worked, never tried? Nobody never tried to do the laws of God at all. So that's why people run around and do what they do. That's why our people life is the way.
So I agree with you on a sense because I do feel like, and that's just my personal opinion, I do feel like the world, especially U.S., is like this, but the world in general is because a lot of people have gotten away from the laws of God. And I'm not even going to say specific religion, but the laws of God. We have gotten away from believing in a higher power. And that's why so many people are just doing anything. Like right now, we're living in a time where anything is almost okay. And I feel like that's because we have gotten away from them. So I do agree on that. But my statement.
But the Bible have all the history from past to now, and all the new history is something about. I think, for instance, when you read about Sodom and Gomorrah, right? When you read the story of Sodom and Gomorrah,
speak on.
That sent the United States to the T. Everything they did in Sodom and Gomorrah, the United States did it. Everything. Having sex in the street, men and men, women and women. I mean, everything you name that happening over there is happening now.
I agree. I agree with
what
that.
we're not going to do is we're not going to turn this into religion, Tony and Wesley.
How you gonna tell them in the back of the comment on it?
We have a very bad disease, a very bad mental disease right now. We're so screwed up. This disease is killing us at a rapid rate. That's why we need God to fix it, because we can't fix it ourselves. Ain't no way we're gonna fix it ourselves. Because think about it, most of our kids and most of our adults is doing things backwards. You got the older generation doing what the newer generation did. You got the newer generation that's lost as hell. They don't even know what the hell they're doing. Then you got men that say they don't want women but want to act like women. Then you got women say they don't want men but want to be a man. So it's hard. It's hard to give somebody a remedy or say, what can we do? Let's be conscious. So one, you're not even ready to be conscious because you still want to live that state of life. You still want to be stuck at the bottom. You should be successful in life. But we gotta stop being complacent and saying, there's nobody holding us down. We holding us. Yes, it is people holding us down. Yes, it is certain individuals. Because think about it. For us to even have a business, we gotta go through so much red tape. We gotta damn near go to school for all your life. You could have started school since you were 17, but now you got the masters. You got to do a master's degree working at McDonald's, man, right? Masters. Went to school all that time and working at McDonald's.
And I would say that they're not really applying themselves because master's degrees are a higher level of education. So if you choose to work at McDonald's, you're an idiot with a master's degree.
This is where it comes to play. You apply yourself, you have to apply yourself. But that's when the red tape come on. You can be sitting in a room for all your peers of different nationalities. When your number comes up, you are more qualified than anybody in that room. But by who you are and who they know who you are, you become a threat to not to you could use your the asset part is yes, you can help that company grow. The threat is one day you take over the company. And they don't want that. They don't want you taking over the company. So your people can see you're successful. Now that you know they want to be successful. That's the threat. No, don't. See, it happened way back in Black Wall Street. We did have our own school system. We did have our own airports, our own banks. We had all of it. I mean, we had it to the point where the dollar never left our community. It took almost six months to a year for the dollar to leave our community. That's how we had it at Black Wall Street. The United States, the only country in the world that bombed their own land. Like they got some say they got bombs on
So let me ask you this. Is there any way that we can get back to the Black Wall Street?
No, it's not. Let me tell you why. It's not that you have a system set up where it's set up the design for us to be cellular.
So we could never succeed. That's what you're saying?
We can, but it's not going to be on the level of what people think of succeeding as people. That's not succeeding. The level of succeeding is going to be first. Mentally, we got to succeed. That's the first step. Not financially, mentally. Mentally, we are sick as hell. That's the first step of healing and succeeding is getting our minds right, getting our kids right, getting the older generation supposed to be the one teaching the younger generation.
Okay, Wesley, you're shaking your head in agreement.
I'm 30 in September, right? I
Oh,
got
man.
more knowledge than somebody that's 80 years old and that's out there in the streets and doing whatever. That's crazy. That's backwards. That's asinine.
So Wesley is shaking his head in agreement.
No, I definitely agree about the point that mentally we got to get ourselves together. Before we can even get ourselves together financially, you have to get yourself together mentally. Right now, in 2018, where we are mentally, I'm working on a paper about us receiving reparations. If we was to win that lawsuit in reparations, right now, because how far our mental is behind, the money that we would win, regardless if it would be $100 billion, that money will be right back in the white community within a couple of months because we are not mentally prepared. And that's sad to even say as being a black man. Yes, it will help and uplift and sustain and build some because some people are mentally there. But the majority of our people are not mentally prepared to receive no reparation of no millions of dollars. Do we deserve it? Yes, we do. We do. We deserve trillions of dollars in reparations. But right now, the way that we live and the way we are, let these people cut some checks. Everybody running and trying to get the biggest name this, the biggest name that, all this slick stuff, big necklaces and chains. It's going to be a small percentage worrying about starting a business, opening up some type of organization, buying their own house. It's going to be small percentages of that. It's going to be a large percentage of people buying stuff that we don't even need. And the money is going to go right back to the community, to the people that's not supporting us.
So I'm interested in doing a financial, hold on, Tony. I'm interested in doing a financial advisement and a life insurance show because Wesley and I were texting earlier and we talked about something that we're going to pick up next week. But it spoke in reference to life insurance policies, and I think that's another reason why we are just going in the wrong direction. You know, my mother taught me about life insurance early, so every time I had a baby, they got an insurance policy. You know, so my kids you won't see a GoFundMe to bury me. You might see a GoFundMe for something else, but you won't see a GoFundMe for that. So if we have anybody listening who is a financial advisor or a life insurance agent, we want to, bring them in and call. So if you know anybody who has that type of expertise, let them know that we're looking for, because I do want to have a segment on that. I want to give people an opportunity to ask that question so that we can kind of dispel some of the myths that we have surrounding life insurance and financial advisement.
Add on to what y'all saying, that Wesley he made a good point. This is why I say people don't look at life and really see what's going on. Their eyes is kind of still cold. If you know this, when you go in the inner city, right? Everybody knows about the county city thing, right? If you go in the inner city or you go to the county where black neighborhoods are set up or black neighborhoods exist, right? And you find out, I'm gonna give you a common example. Look at the food that's being sold in the inner city. Look, when you go around, look how like you go in a block, right? Around that inner block, and you look at all the stores it's like 15 corner stores that sell the same chicken, the same stuff that's not healthy, right? And you go all the way up like Washington Road, you start to see the stores starting to like shift. Like, you don't see the corner stores.
You don't see any liquor stores, none of that.
You're not saying half-eating stores like that. You're not saying the stores look a little bit more cleaner and the bathrooms look a little bit more cleaner. There's a reason for that.
Of course.
But Tony, he's right. No, he's right. Not even that, but I speak on that all the time. Like,
right, but let's look at business. They're not coming.
we should
one
hear
of the richest people on the face of the planet, and one of the, I mean, everything about us is rich, and people don't want to want that. People don't want to hear you say, God made this planet for you. Oh, he didn't make it for me, makes right? No, it's not. No, it's not. He made it for us. Look what we can do. Look how we live. We once was royalty. When we walked this earth, we had everything. Everything was ours.
Okay.
We disconnected ourselves because we want to be like everybody else. We want to live. Oh, we like the way they live. They doing some wicked stuff. They out here having sex with animals. I want to go out there and have sex with animals. That's cool. We copycats. We copycats. We do anything that look cool. As a matter of fact, we'll be a prime example. We're the most religious people. I don't say religious. We're the most spiritual people on the face of this planet, right? That's why when you know it, you ever notice. You ever notice all these people that come up with these crazy religions, they always look for our people, Mexicans, Hispanics, and Native Americans, rock up. We're the most spiritual people on the face of the planet. My being prime example, Jehovah's Witness once had watchtowers that said that we was too dumb and comprehend their writings and teachings. And Hispanics and blacks was too dumb. Now, who's in? And Jehovah's Witness is dominant. White, blacks and Hispanics. Because we bring all the money. We bring all the spirituality. You know what I mean? You can't, when you see these churches around, you're see 500 churches. 500 churches in the city. Teaching the same systematic thing. And nobody in the city is well. It's still sick. That don't make sense.
Okay. All right, so let me ask you a question. So let me make a statement in reference to a statement that you made earlier in reference to people coming into this country and they're not bringing anything. The problem is they found something for themselves. They came here with a business. They found a niche in your community. Because if they're coming here to make money, they want to come here, they want to get our American dollars, they want to send it back, they want to take care of their families. They came here and found exactly what it was that they were looking for. You can't be mad at them and change their business model because you feel like it didn't.
No. That's the thing I'm saying. We're more worried about how the people that come from other places are so business-minded, they found the niche. No, they didn't find it. Yeah, they found the niche. Yeah, they found the niche to make money off our backs once again.
Exactly. But that's the point. You can't.
That's not finding the niche.
It is because it's a market for it. You cannot blame them. You can't blame them for finding a market.
You've been here, people been here for 500 plus years, right? You can't go to the bank and say, hey, you know what, I need a $20 loan, I'm a master, I'm going to successful life. Give me a loan, please. I'm sorry, Mr. Successful. You don't meet our qualifications.
Access denied.
Access denied. Okay, if somebody comes from, hey, I want to build 5 stories almost. Granted, what you need, 40,000? Granted, what you need, extra credit? Granted. That's not business. That's not very successful. I see some of the dumbest people when you walk in the store. You said, how much is this? How much is this? What you say? How much is this? Oh, I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. That's why you own this business.
Right. I understand what you're saying, Tony. Just like in the inner city, we have sons right there by all the institutions, ran by Asians.
Mm-hmm.
But if they had a mom and pops, nobody would be going to mom and pops. They'd still be going to the Asians. Just like it's one off of, it's called a corner station off of Perrin Parkway.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice. It looked like a soul food restaurant, like it's going to be black owned. You go in there, it's Kim Lee in there. I'm sorry.
Selling greens, macaroni cheese, and all that.
Chitlins, Kool-Aid, everything.
You name one person, and I'll hang this on name one person that walked the soul food restaurant that was owned by Asian, you see them soul food chickens and all that.
Yeah, they're not eating the food. They're not eating it. They're just preparing their chitlins and all.
Never. And the thing about it is,
And it's nice. It's nice in there.
so sad. You know, it was so sad, and this goes back to your earlier conversation. I say multiple occasions where Asian men was choking black women almost to death, and you see no kind of police resistance or arrested. None.
What are they choking them for?
Yeah.
In the nail salon when they
What are you talking about?
stealing the service?
Regardless of what it's for, you're choking a woman. Somebody that you're most dominant, stronger than, you're choking a woman, and you telling me the police right there and say, oh, sir, you choked her out, come on, you go to jail. No, sir, go ahead and show me that she's going to jail. What? Really?
I don't know that was what we was talking about. We're talking about the disparities in the school, Tony. That's what we were talking about.
When you got people that come from other counties, other cities that's more richer than us, that's not in our culture, it's like a zoo exhibit. So when they come here, they're looking like, these kids dumber than rock. I'm not like when he dressed. Let him do it. Let him do it. Oh, she's yellow victory. Yeah, but yeah, Bill, we might have it. Let's not like other parties and stuff. That's what we are a joke to our culture and our society. We're not.
He right though. Don't lie. He right. I'm telling you, he right. That's why I'm just chilling.
We're not the. Hey, Tyrone. I want you to come to my my $5 million, my $100 million party, and we want to talk some business. We're not that. We're the hell. Let's be honest. We're the one that sit and we get conversations and we get ideas off of that. You don't find we gotta act this way to sit there. What do you call it? Bougie. We gotta act bougie. We gotta act that we gotta hire to make our way of life. Because you never notice some people don't talk about how you doing? And then when they get around, yeah, man, fuck that shit. Yeah.
Okay, but do you not agree that you have to be able to turn it on and
Right.
turn it
It's
off?
a time and place for everything, though. Tony, it's a time. Tony, it's a time. Tony, can you hear me? Oh yeah, because you were too busy talking, baby. It's a time and place for everything, though.
You definitely need to be able to turn it on and turn it off.
Right.
When I do my presentation in school,
Yeah, I'm sure.
I love my people to death. But you know, like I say, I be seeing videos and stuff of young men hitting elderly people with scooters and just smacking them. And I mean, I'm like, come on, dog, around. And your homeboys give you props for smacking an elderly woman?
right? But again, we get back to that mentality. They keep on talking about how these little squeegee boys down there have mastered the skill of just being disrespectful, right? So when you approach these little young kids, it's like you better be prepared for what they have. They are reckless.
You better pat them down. They might got a knife.
They might got more than that, truthfully. They may have more than that. But you know, when
I bet all the young kids there. Look, I don't know what you got. You might got all kinds of stuff in your book bag. Let me see what you got in your bag.
yeah, so it's so hard because you know you have to have some type of connection to get into these schools and make a difference, right? While these principals have
It starts from the parents. When the parents don't have morals and they don't act right, then it trickle down to the kids.
yes, and that's what we were talking about earlier in the discussion. It does have a lot to do with the parents, but where and how are these parents getting anything? Because you can't force these parents into programs. You can't teach them anything that they don't want to know. So I don't know. I mean, what do y'all think? Do you think the focus should be on the parents or the focus should be on the children? when we're looking at mentality?
Both.
Yeah.
You gotta have, in my opinion, you have to have a holistic approach. You know why? Because you can't just. That's why even though we do a lot of work, no, that's my guy. Even though we do a lot of work for these kids and these programs, when they go home, if that same teaching is not being taught, you got to keep on recycling and retraining and reteaching the next time you see them. So it got to be a holistic approach. You can't just only focus on the child sometimes. Sometimes it works, but a lot of the reasons why it don't work when you just focusing on the child, because they go back to the same community, they go back to the same household. So they in that household and in that community more time and hours and years than they are with these programs. So you working against that. So a holistic approach is when you can go and build a connection with the mother or father or grandmother and help them as well. Because they need the help just as bad. And that's why I say we are passing along ignorance. Because if you got a mother who was born to a mother that was 15 and the mother never developed any education or trade and she stayed the same, I'm not saying you can't get out of that, because I know people who have lived it and they're out of it. But a lot of people don't get out of that. So they have a child at 15, and then by the time their child turns 15, she's 30. By the time she's 15, 16, she might be pregnant herself. So now you got 3 women. They didn't all have babies at 15 and 16. So they didn't even grow or develop properly themselves before they had another child, because they was a baby pregnant as well. So a lot of teaching and learning that they missed, they pass it on to their child. So a 15-year-old, so what we need to understand is kids are like sponges. They suck everything up. So if you're 15 years old and your son and daughter is up under you all the time, they learn your young 15-year-old ways. So by the time you're 20, they 5. And they learned all those young ways. By the time you're 25, they 10. They learned and seen all those young ways that you didn't outgrow. Some people can fight against it, but it's actually hurting a lot of people in our community, because a lot of people don't get out of their circumstances and their situation. So they pass that level of ignorance to the child. Then the child turns around and repeats the same cycle. Then that child repeats the same cycle. So like a revolving door, revolving issue that we just living through. It's a lot of these women we can go talk to in the urban community, and they done had kids at a young age, and then their kids had kids at a young age, and their kids had. We got to break that cycle, and some people live to do it. Pat yourself on the back.
Yes, thank you. So I mean, you know, as you prepare to get your children ready for school tomorrow, I'm talking to the parents out there, mothers and fathers alike. As you prepare to get your children ready for school, I want you to prepare yourself to fight against the resistance that you'll have for these little children who are going to school. These children are counting on you to hold teachers accountable, to hold principals accountable. So just be prepared. Prepare yourself as well. As you got those nice little clothes that you went shopping for, let's prepare to get yourselves out there. Hold these organizations, these teachers, these schools, these principals accountable. We need the parents to make a difference in these children's lives. Yes, Tony.
No, Tony. What do you have to say, Tony?
Drop some jewels on them, Tom. Drop some jewels on them.
You know what? I'm saying I ain't no I just try to see what I go by what I see in the community, you know? And we sweep a lot of stuff in the world, but we want to sugarcoat things. And I don't think our problem should be sugarcoated. You know, anytime you walk down the street, you say, "Good morning, brother," and he look at you like you just stole $20 from him, that's a problem. That's a problem. When you say, "How you doing, sister? You look nice today." I ain't giving you my number. I ain't trying to get your number. I'm just trying to tell you.
Tom! It's my guy right now.
Well, you hold the door before younger, elderly woman, a family style. I spoke to her, I was speaking to her, talking to her, and she said, you know what? I looked at you, and I know you're a young man. I didn't even think you could talk to me like the way you are. She said, I've never seen it before in these young guys like that. And she said, brother, I want to commend you, and you keep on doing what you do. I was shocked. I was overwhelmed.
But you know what? You know what, Tony? That right there, what you said, you just heard, that bothers me. You know why? Because I hear that a lot of places I go. A lot of places I go, even black people be saying, you speak well, or you talk well, or you intelligent, or you dress well, or you this, and
Like
you
you're
that.
not supposed to be
Like black
intelligent.
men not supposed to be that.
Or
Right.
you can't be that.
Yo, some
Right.
people might take, like, one part of me, it might be a compliment,
Right.
but another part of me is kind of offensive.
Right.
Because I feel like
Yeah.
white people, black people, Asian people, Jewish people, whatever you are, you shouldn't be looking at a black man and be like, wow, you smart to be a young black man, or
Like
you
black
well
people.
dressed, or you well spoken to be a young black man. And that's what hurts me. It's like,
Right.
What hurts me, Wesley, is that's why our women are disconnected. And I'm sorry to say, that's why our women have the attitude that they have. It's not because they're rebellion, I could be all bad by my. That's not their attitude. Trust and believe their attitude is still from us. Because for one, we don't treat them right. We not compliment them.
oh my God, I know he's right. I'm telling you.
You're absolutely right, Tony. Go ahead, preach.
We're not taking care of kids the way we're supposed to take care of
Yep,
kids.
exactly.
But we sick. They sick though. They sick.
That's a disease right there.
They sick.
You know what I'm saying? So what happens is they'll start, man, and one of them want to admit it too, because some women want to be empowered by their own inner self. So they want to admit that they need a man. They just want to say, oh, I don't need a man. And then 3 minutes later, they call that best friend or that girlfriend and say, girl, I'm lonely and I need a man with that body. I need somebody to come up to and watch Netflix. See, that's why I say,
You ain't never lied, Tony. You right.
and then we start saying, man, that's out there. It's like you going shopping. You saying a lot of good food, but the expiration date is kind of, well, that's fine. You say, nah, well,
These niggas expired, Tony. Tony said that this expiration date on the man is about to expire. Damn, you say you see a lot of good food, but the expiration date is about to expire.
I like that
Hey,
one.
Tony, I might need to use that one. That was a good one. That was a good one.
And she looks nice, she has a nice body. Some thing in your mind, you think, oh, that's not about sex. It ain't all about that all the time, right? It ain't all about that. Because look, you can have all the good great sex in the world. But after you finish, as the day settle, the smoke get clear, and all the sweat that dried up your yourself, and then you go downstairs to the coffee table and you see that BG bill, that shit get real.
My God, right there.
He said that'll be G bill.
Mm-hmm.
You got $5 in your pocket for gas, and you looking at the person like, okay, if you actually wake up, you putting up this bill.
I just was Tony, I was just telling my sister that today. I just told one of my sisters that today. I said, so many women out here so caught up and worrying about the sex, but what else about that man is she attracted to? Can he help her? I just said the same statement. I said, can he help you when that BG&E, when that car payment, when that rent, when that mortgage? That's my point. Why y'all opening up your legs if he can't even?
Yeah, you got him out.
So that's the way they think life's supposed to be lived. They think I'm supposed to love out a woman. So that young girl's supposed to think I'm supposed to be going out there and opening my legs up to every man I see. That's the love I'm supposed to give. Nah, not what mine is not.
Tony, you can come up any day, bro.
But I'm tired of saying the young black women, they walk around. Okay, it's good to have some type of confidence in yourself and things like that. But when a mother always dressed you up in leggings, like leggings is the only thing that was created in the dress world. I'm tired of saying leggings. Like women don't even have creativity no more in their closet. You go to a woman's closet now, you got like 80 pairs of leggings.
Not mine.
Well, your money,
Or
yo.
I know everybody see this. Or you go to the market, that wear leggings, have them up so far, so that power area to show,
Mm-hmm.
and then
talk today. He going off.
You want to get chicken and stuff for dinner with you, or you should for somebody for something else. Because when you wear that stuff, and then women get mad when you say,
When a man says something.
man, sure ain't. Look like that.
I'm going to leave.
I'm a woman. Well, miss, you just show me a camera phone and
I'm going to go ahead and leave. Because everything, every speaking it today.
And the men are starting to be so, and you know what's crazy? The men are starting to be so feminine. So feminine, it's turning women off. That's why women are starting to look other places or doing themselves, whatever the case may be.
Don't talk about that, Tony. You don't need women to be feminine.
No, I got something for you. I want to show us.
You what?
Men wearing leggings too.
That's what he's saying. He said, right.
No, and they wearing the little fanny packs or
Yeah, that's what he
shoulder.
said. He was saying that about the pocketbooks and stuff.
And like I said, man, it's not everybody that never wear the dress. But when your jeans is almost tight as your leggings, that's a problem, bro. That's a problem. I'm trying to say that ain't my underwear.
Oh yeah, I've been tired.
I'm tired of saying that. They expect that they gotta say Michael Kors on underwear. Okay, bro, congratulations, you only got T-pairs.
All right, so Tony, what you got to say for the little kids that's going to school tomorrow? What you got to say for their parents?
And they can't even spell Louis Vuitton. Right.
These people are monsters. Like you look at some of these designers, they are monsters, freaking child molesters. But we say as a fashion thing like that, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy.
We got 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, Tony. Thanks for calling in, Tony. We appreciate your comments.
I'm coming up there live, man.
Please do.
Come on up, Tony. Come on up, man. Come on up, bro.
We've been waiting on you.
As soon as it's football season, he watching football. Wesley, get on him.
No, he runs a
Oh, okay.
he runs a program.
Come on up, bro.
All right.
But we enjoy talking to you, man. We'll hear from you soon. Next show.
All right. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
So I just read that since it's going to be 91 degrees tomorrow, they say in Baltimore City, some of the schools who are not equipped with proper air conditioning will be closing 3 hours early. So tomorrow is the first day of school. Yes, it is, but some schools may be dismissed 3 hours early due to the heat because some schools do not have air conditioning units in the school building to keep the cool. So just pay attention to the news and look up and see what schools who will be dismissed early because there will be some schools dismissed early.
All right, and make sure you're paying attention to your child's calendars that they bring home. Make sure if the teacher is asking something, make sure you're responding. Make sure when report card time comes, make sure you're going up if they have meetings for that. Your parent-teacher conferences. Before those report cards come out, people know what your children are doing in school. You should not be just finding out that your kid has a C when a report card comes home.
Right.
Talk to the teachers, hold them accountable. Before they get to send my kid home with a C, you best believe that I've been up there because I want to know what you're doing as the teacher to ensure that my kid is not getting a C. I can do what I'm doing at home, but we're not going to get to the point where you sending my kid home with a C.
Right.
That's not happening. So hold yourselves accountable. More so hold these teachers accountable. and let's do what we have to do to enrich and uplift our own communities. You know, we get on here, we're laughing, we're joking, but most of the time we have some pretty serious topics. This is just so important. These disparities, we can't always blame it on the schools, the teachers, and all that kind of stuff. These people are out here getting their educations, going to teach your children in school. We cannot always blame it on anybody else. We have to pay attention to what we are or what we are not doing.
We have to be accountable for our actions.
Absolutely. So, this has been very enlightening, and I always love the discussion and the passion that comes from Wesley. He's preoccupied today. He has so much stuff happening, going on. He has to get home, get to these papers. I'm talking about Wesley, but I do have 2 assignments due to the University of Maryland Eastern Shore by the 14th, so I got to get a roll on with that. But with that being said, we are going to end this show tonight. This is Open Wide with Neeuq on WMSK Online Radio. This is the home of the Cheryl Underwood Morning Show. Make sure you're checking us out on YouTube every week. Go back, listen to the shows. We're looking for some financial advisors and some life insurance agents to come in, give us a show so that people can start to get those things settled in their lives. Make sure we're on top of that. Make sure you're going to 50 Shades of Blue Baltimore at gmail.com. We're looking for sponsors. We're looking for swag bag items. Make sure you're going to get your tickets from Eventbrite. I believe they're only $10. Children 6 and under get in free with the paying adult, and students from 7 to 17 also get in for free. You must have a ticket to enter that event. I will be speaking at that event, telling my story about my domestic violence issues. So make sure you come and check us out. We'll talk to you next week. Can't wait. Wesley will be next week, right? All right. All right, y'all. So
it's going to be about?
not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. So, I always have to keep Wesley in the dark a little bit. So that's going to be it for us tonight. Have a good night.
Good night.
Alright.
He ready.
Yeah, I can't stay around the damn out here.
Go ahead, baby.
I'll get my little man. School starts for both of us tomorrow. Time to get a yacht. Come on about it.
Gotta go finish